It's me.
Can you believe that, man?
The last word.
Yeah, that's right. You got it. Last word.
Welcome back to The Last Word. We got another great show lined up. Before we get started, won't you take the time to like, comment, and subscribe? I'm your host, Owen Baxter, and it is a final in Boston. They were able to move on and get that victory. So they're going back home, 116-99. Would you believe the Boston Celtics were able to stay alive? They were able to finally pull one off. It was a dogfight at first, but then you could see some separation moving on to in the second half. Jason Tatum finally showed up, 33 points. Jaylen Brown, though, what's happening is he's staying cold or relatively lukewarm, 17 points. Jimmy Butler showed up, 29 points, but I don't see anyone else that stepped up for the Miami Heat. Of course, I was looking for Bam to step up, and he only ended up with 10 points, which was really, really disappointing because they had an opportunity to put it to an end and move on to the finals. But you allow the Boston Celtics to stay alive. What does this mean? Does this mean that the series could potentially change into the Boston Celtics' favor because they're going back to Boston? What do you think?
It's not over. It's not over. No, I think we're going to have an extended series. These Celtics, hopefully, they're going to compete like they did when they get back home. Although home court hasn't been very nice to them in this playoffs. So we'll see if they can turn that around. If we can get Tatum to continue to play this at this level. Tatum, again, had an excellent game, showed up, was attacking, aggressive. It was good to see that kind of Tatum out there. Great effort and contributions from Grant Williams as well, making some big shots. He
X factor.
He went from not playing at a point in the series to now contributing and being a key element of winning and not being swept. So hopefully the Boston goes home and remembers that they're a good team. They're a team that should be beating the Miami Heat. So
you know what? Yeah, you're right.
In terms of talent.
Yes. The matchups, it's not looking in Miami's favor, but what's been going on is that Miami has been outplaying the Boston Celtics thus far. But last night, you can see that they came out and it was over. Boston Celtics, they came out aggressive. Horford played big. I mean, he was plus 23, which was the big plus, the biggest plus minus of the game. You know, I mean, there's a lot of conversation. Should they start Greg Williams or should they start Horford? Because all Horford does is he kind of just stays in the corner and just jacks up threes. But I think he brings a lot more to the Boston Celtics on the court. Horford, I think his IQ is much more higher than we think or than we respect. So
Horford's had a high IQ from his days in Florida. This guy's always known what to do to win ball games and contribute. And yes, he's limited in terms of certain aspects of his game, but in terms of where his head's at and what he's willing to do to contribute to a team to win, I don't think anyone ever doubts what Horford brings to a team.
Well, he really brought it tonight, and they're moving on to Boston. Could be a series changer. I think it can be, but what do you think? I mean, I was hoping that they would have got it done, and I was hoping it would have been a final.
I don't know. I think Boston finds their confidence. They go home and they win that game at home, and we're going back to Miami.
One game at a time. You know what? I'll even say this. It's not impossible for Boston to win the next 4 games, like the next 3 games, to make it 4 games straight. I'm not saying it's
going to be hard to win 4 games straight, right? Like, just common sense tells you that.
It's going to be impossible.
But they are a better team than Miami. And Miami, again, the parts are greater than the sum or whatever you want to say, but that they literally are that, right? That somehow these guys
I'm looking at it
bring
like
up
this.
efforts. But if I was to sit down and tell you that Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent and a mashed down Kyle Lowry and
We're able to.
are gonna beat Boston, and I go through their roster of 2 All NBA players and Brogdon and White and Smart and Horford and
Williams,
that I would not say that. I would assume that team would be able to beat Miami 4 times in a row in terms of sweeping them out of a playoffs.
So here's one thing we have to take into consideration. The Western Conference, something happened that was never happened before. The Denver Nuggets, 44 series, they did it. They swept the Los Angeles Lakers to move on. Of course, that's the first thing that's ever happened. 44 series, first sweep.
I thought we were talking about Miami. What happened there?
Hold on a second.
How are you going to get back to the Lakers?
First time they've
guy's up
ever
for
been
me
into
today.
the finals. So this is a lot of firsts. You just can't throw it out there that it's not possible for it to happen, because it can happen. Boston Celtics, you can muster up enough faith and you could get it done. You could beat Jimmy and the names that he's been naming 4 straight times, because you're supposed to do that. You have the talent to do it. But do you have the biggest question, which is what I'm going to bring up for the next take? Do you have the coaching to do it?